Before we can patch an image, we first need to create one. Remember, when you create an image, it must have a unique name. And you should always use explicit versioning. To build an image, you can use a Docker file. My Docker file will be quite simple. It will just specify from which base image it should create my new image. After that, I will use Docker image build and provide it with a tag, followed by an explicit version number to create a tagged image. Finally, I can publish my image to the Docker Hub, which is a container registry. I can do that by using the command docker push and provide it with the image name I just created. This will be the version of the image we are going to patch later. To patch my image, I made a small change in the Docker file. You can see that the minor version number of the Nano server image I used as a base image has now changed from 693 to 953. Of course, I need to rebuild this image and then publish it to the Docker Hub. By using the command docker inspect, I can see inside my image and see which version of Windows it's currently running. Finally, a heads up about the latest tag. It's important to know that any image can carry that tag, and it's the publisher who decides which one gets it. I will show you later how this can go wrong. To prepare for this demo, I have created two Docker files. The only difference between them is the version number of the Nano server image they are based on. So if I open up the Docker file in Notepad, you can see that this image uses the 693 version of Nano server. To build an image from this Docker file, I need to specify the command docker build. I can do the same thing providing an explicit version number. So I built another image from the same Docker file, but now I use the version 1.0 explicitly. Now I want to publish the image to Docker Hub by using the latest tag. And I will do the same thing, but then provide an explicit version number. This means that my image can be found using either the latest version or by using an explicit version 1.0. I can now use Docker image inspect to look inside the image and see which version of Windows Nano Server it is currently running. You can see that the version of Windows is 693. Now let's go ahead and patch this image. For this, I will go to my other folder and you will see my other Docker file. The 693 version is now upgraded to the 953 version. I will build two images again, one using the latest tag and one using an explicit version 2 tag. Again, I will publish these images to Docker Hub. I can use Docker image inspect to see which version of Windows is running inside the image I created. As you can see, it has now been upgraded from 693 to 953. You have now learned how to patch a Windows container image to a newer version of Windows. I will now demonstrate how you can end up with an older container image carrying the latest tag. For this, I will go back to the V1 folder. Remember, this had the earlier image with the older version of Windows running inside of it. I will now use Docker image build to create an image using this Docker file. And now push this image to the Docker Hub again. I now use the inspect command to inspect the image with the latest tag. You can see that it's actually running version 693, which was the older version of Windows. So even though we have a more modern version v2 of the image, the latest tag is now pointing to the v1 version of the image. I can show you this by navigating to the Docker Hub. You can see that the one tagged as latest is actually pointing to the v1 version of the image. You have now learned how to patch an image and that the latest tag doesn't necessarily point to the actual latest version of the image.